Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you've been keeping up with my videos, you'll remember that I recently covered how the multiplayer wildcards work in Call of Duty Mobile. Well, today we're switching things up and diving into the world of Battle Royale wildcards. Trust me, this system works a bit differently, and once you get the hang of it, it'll completely change the way you approach BR matches. So here's the thing, in multiplayer you get to choose your wildcards before heading into battle. You get to decide exactly what buffs or advantages you want and you're good to go. But in Battle Royale, nope, it's not that simple. In BR, you don't get to pre-equip wildcards. Instead, you have to find them during the match. You either get them by looting boxes spread across the map or by taking down enemies who were lucky enough to grab them first. It's a mix of skill and luck, which keeps the gameplay unpredictable and exciting. Now let's talk about how many wildcards you can equip. You can have a maximum of 3 wildcards equipped at any given time in a match. But of course, there's a little twist. At the start of the match, you'll have only 2 slots unlocked. The third slot remains locked, but don't worry, it doesn't stay that way for long. After a certain amount of time, the third slot unlocks and you'll be able to equip an additional wildcard. If you're ever unsure about how much time is left for the slot to open, just check your backpack. You'll see a timer there that lets you know when the slot becomes available. These wildcards aren't just for show. They offer unique buffs that can completely change the way you play. Whether it's reducing damage, speeding up your reload time, helping you track enemies, or giving you a health boost, wildcards can give you an edge in critical moments. And since you can't control what wildcards you find during the match, every game feels a little different, which makes BR even more intense. Now let's talk about where to find wildcards. There are 2 primary ways. First, you can loot them from green or red loot boxes that you'll find all over the map. These boxes contain a mix of weapons, ammo, and sometimes, if you're lucky, a wildcard or 2. The second way is by taking down enemies. If your opponent had a wildcard equipped when they went down, you'll find it in their death crate. Occasionally, you might even stumble across a wildcard lying around on the ground, but that's more of a rare occurrence. But here's something new that many players don't know. There are exchange spots on the map where you can swap out your wildcards for different ones. These exchange spots are marked on your minimap with a person icon. When you visit one of these locations, you will be given 3 card options to choose from, and you can exchange one of your existing wildcards for one of these. But here's the catch. If you don't have any wildcards in your inventory, you can't make an exchange. It's literally like trading 1 for 1. So if you're not happy with your current wildcards or want to switch things up depending on your situation, head to one of these spots and trade smartly. Just like weapons and attachments, wildcards come in different rarities, and the rarer they are, the more powerful their effects become. Let's start by going over the rare wildcards. First up, we have covert action. This one's perfect if you like to play stealthy. It reduces your footstep noise by 30% while running, making it harder for enemies to hear you coming. This is great for sneaking up on opponents or rotating around the map without giving away your position. Then there's gas shield, which is a lifesaver when you're stuck outside the safe zone. It reduces HP loss by 20% when you're caught in the gas, giving you extra time to make it back to safety. If you've ever been in a situation where you're running for your life as the zone closes in, you'll appreciate this one. Next, we've got Hawk's Eye, which is a fantastic wildcard for players who like to track their targets. When you hit an enemy, it reveals their position for 1.5 seconds. The only catch is that this information is only visible to you. Your teammates won't be able to see it. But still, it's a huge advantage when you're trying to keep tabs on a fleeing enemy or finish off someone who's trying to hide. Medical kit is another handy one, especially for those intense fights where you're constantly taking damage. Normally, when you repair your armor, that's all it does. But with medical kit, repairing your armor also heals your HP. It's a 2-in-1 benefit that keeps you in the fight longer. Predation is built for aggressive players who like to stay in the heat of battle. Every time you knock or eliminate an enemy, 20% of your armor is restored, which means you're always ready for the next fight. If you're someone who tends to take a lot of hit, stress response is a must-have. When you take damage, it gives you a brief speed boost, allowing you to reposition quickly or escape to safety. Then there's quick recovery, which speeds up your HP regeneration by 20% and increases healing effectiveness by 30%. This is a solid choice if you like to stay alive longer and keep yourself topped up between fights. Finally, we have Technique, which is a dream for launcher users. It increases reload speed and lock-on time by 30% for launcher-style weapons, making it easier to take down vehicles or groups of enemies. Now let's move on to the more advanced stuff, the epic wildcards. These provide even stronger buffs that can really shift the balance of power in your favor. Corrosion is an aggressive wildcard that punishes enemies who try to repair their armor. If your opponent is recharging their armor while you're attacking, you deal 30% increased damage, making their efforts to heal pretty much useless. Interrogation is all about information. When you eliminate an enemy, it reveals the location of their teammates for 8 seconds. The best part, this info is shared with your squad, so everyone knows where to look. If you're someone who likes playing the supportive role, backup troop is a great choice. When you refill your own armor, a portion of your squad's armor is also restored. The exact amount depends on the rarity of the wild card, but it's a huge boost in team fights. Blastmaster increases explosive damage by 15% for grenades, launchers, and other explosives, making it a go-to choice for players who love raining down chaos. For vehicle lovers, Veteran Driver is a must-have. It reduces damage to friendly vehicles by 50% within a 10-meter radius, which means your squad can rotate more safely without worrying about getting blown up. Military recycling gives you a chance that no ammo will be consumed when using grenades or launchers, allowing you to keep dishing out damage without running dry. Armor Overload is another gem that gives you an extra level of armor repair every time you use an armor pack, keeping you well protected for longer durations. Finally, there's the legendary wildcard, and right now there's only two. Shield Expansion Legendary. It does the same thing as its epic counterpart by increasing your armor HP limit to 200, but with even better consistency and durability. If you manage to get your hands on this one, you'll feel like an absolute tank in the final circles. And next, maintenance. This wildcard is an absolute game changer, giving you a 40% chance not to consume an armor repair when you use it. Now that we've gone through all the wildcards, let's talk about some killer combinations. One of my personal favorites is Covert Action, Hawk's Eye, and Stress Response, perfect for sneaky players who want to stay undetected, track their targets, and make a quick getaway when things get messy. If you prefer a more aggressive playstyle, you can try Predation, Quick Recovery, and Corrosion. This combo keeps you alive longer, lets you heal faster, and punishes enemies who try to restore their armor mid-fight. And if you're all about explosives and chaos, a mix of Blastmaster, military recycling, and technique ensures that you'll be causing mayhem without worrying about running out of ammo. And that's the complete breakdown of the wildcards. If I missed any, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Also, I'm curious, what's your go-to wildcard combination? Let me know which ones you'll be running with in your next BR match. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay tuned for more COD Mobile tips and tricks. I'll see you next.